What happens in communion? What happens? And I'd answer it this way, that in communion we look back, we look around, and we look forward. So Jesus said to his disciples, do this in remembrance of me. And I don't know, I picture that meal and Jesus saying, do this in remembrance of me. And I picture the disciples saying, Jesus, are you kidding me? We could never forget you. Are you kidding me? But we forget, don't we? You ever forgotten anything important? I mean, I think I've shared this before, maybe here. Right after our first daughter was born, Zoe was born, I think maybe she's 6 months old. I can't remember the time frame. She's a baby. I put her down for a nap, and I go into the garage. I got a couple projects I'm excited to work on while the baby naps. And guys, can you relate to me on this? When you get focused on something like that, time stands still, and you can't hear anything else. You're so focused. It's the zone. It's the zen. I don't know what it is. Anybody relate to this? Beautiful moment. But as I'm working on this project and I'm in that moment, I'm in that bubble, I realize there are a couple things I need to finish the project. And so my car is right there. And I get in my car and I head to Lowe's, still focused on this project. But I get this feeling inside. Something isn't right here. I've forgotten something. And, screech of the tires and do a U-turn and pull into the garage and look around to make sure Division of Family Services has not yet been called. It was probably 2 minutes, or something like that. But we forget some of the most important things we need to remember, which is why we celebrate communion. And Jesus saying, do this and remember me. And some of the things that I forget that I need to remember, I'm weighed down with guilt. I need to remember I'm forgiven. I forget that I'm called to be a servant, and all I think about is me and my desires and what I want, and I need to remember. Called to be a servant, called to be a servant. I forget that I'm a part of this family of brothers and sisters, and I need to remember, no, it isn't just about me. I forget Jesus all the time. I need to remember. There's a lot of remembering in the Bible. It's kind of interesting. If you were to read it cover to cover, that word would just jump out at you. Remember, 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 remember. And the idea of all this remembering in the Bible is more than just recalling information. When you remember something, the idea is if you do it right, what was real once before becomes real once again. It's not just recalling facts. It's about taking part in, reliving, it becoming real again. So maybe you think like this, I wonder, God, have you given up on me yet? I'm tempted to think this time I've gone too far, but Jesus keeps saying, no, you haven't. I love you and I invite you to my table. Come back to my table and remember, not your guilt, remember, not your failure, not your shortcomings. He says what? Remember what? Me. Remember me. And here's what happens when we remember him. We take our eyes off our failures, we take our eyes off our fatigue, and we put our eyes on him. Changes our perspective. We remember his crucifixion. We remember his resurrection. We remember why he died for us. We look back and we remember.